HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-2 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day 5. So day 5 is right here in this white rectangle. Now, if you haven't watched the general overview for the 4-2 sequence, we highly recommend you do. What it does is it gives and lays out the entire sequence, what's going to be expected. Also, it helps you understand how to quickly read these graphs and keep up with these forecasts because we're going to scoot along. Okay, so day 5 is definitely a little bit more exciting than day 4, and that's because in day 4 we talked about this mental polarity flip that was going to start. It started halfway through that sequence, and it's going to continue through the entire day 5 sequence. Now, there's also some more up and down movements here in first person agitation. So we've got first person agitation that's coming up just a little bit, and we definitely have elevation in third person agitation. Now, when we look at the combined, it's kind of a wavy day. So we've got this swell. The swell is created by that mental polarity flip, and then we've got some chop on top of that swell. That's what's creating these up and down waves here. So at the beginning of day 5, middle of day 5, and the end of day 5, you're definitely not going to want to let your defensive design get the better of you. Remember, we're in a sentient space-time reality, and this electromagnetic pattern is challenging you. And when it gets to a level 4 and holds at that level 4, well, it just becomes very difficult not to let our defensive design manipulate our choices. Now, if you let your defensive design manipulate your choices and you run away from your problems or you make your problems worse, all you've done is you've negatively influenced yourself and all the people that you interact with. When you bring stress into your life, it accelerates the aging process and it accumulates to create future states of disease. We are showing you this pattern and we're giving you the day 5 forecast, knowing exactly what's going to happen so that you can stay as calm as you can and eliminate all this stress that this pattern is trying to create. All right, so let's get down here now. We're going to talk about testing sequence in day 5. Now, in day 5, the upper left quadrant, the testing sequence is increasing and it should be noticeable. So we were running between a 2 and a 3. Now it's going to be between a 3 and a 4, even jumps up into that 5 range just momentarily. Now, good news for upper right quadrant testing, it almost lays down to nothing. Okay, so now we're at 0, gets up to 2. However, our left lower quadrant, that's shot right back up again. And at the end of this 24-hour sequence, we're up in that 7-8 range, meaning there are 7 to 8 frequencies testing that quadrant all at the same time. And as far as the right lower quadrant goes, well, we're staying pretty consistent here for the last few days. Not a very big concern. So when we go into day 5 here, the two places you're really going to be paying attention to are going to be left lower quadrant and left upper quadrants. All right, so let's move down here now and talk about day 5 zoomed in. Now, when we zoom these 24-hour forecasts in, what we really do is we align the time field for universal time with all these peaks and valleys. Now, instead of doing the conversion to your time zone, we recommend you just go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We've got a live feed. You hit play, a time bar comes up. It'll show you exactly where we are within this sequence. Now, we already talked about where the electromagnetics were going to be challenging. This just kind of brings it in a little bit more focus. So the beginning of the sequence, the middle of the sequence, the end of the sequence, and then you can also get a little bit clearer vision of what's going on here in first and third person agitation. So the other reason we do this 24-hour is we want to show you where the alignments are going to happen. And this is a pretty busy day in alignments, okay? All right, so let's talk about the space alignments first. Now, the space alignments have to do with how we get along with our teammates. So the lower portions of the body, the left and right lower quadrants of the body have to do with the younger teammates. The yellow and the green, the upper portions of the body, that has to do with our older teammates. Now, it doesn't matter if the teammates are younger, older, if they're male or female. You're going to have to figure out how to master a relationship with all of them. And to do that, you have to clearly communicate with everybody. You have to be able to coordinate with everybody. You have to help them alleviate their stress and work through your stress with them. And most importantly, you all have to talk about and encourage each other to balance your routines to make sure that every future family that comes into this existence is going to have a better experience because of what you committed to and what you acted on and what you left as your legacy while you were here in this simulated experience. That's simple. Now, if you're not getting along with certain team members. So when we look at these alignments, we're going to start out with the EE first here, okay? The EE is an hour and a half long. It's going to test the upper left quadrant of the body. So if it's in the upper quadrants, it means you got to get along with older teammates. And if you're struggling to do those things I just talked about, the more you struggle with that positive, mutually beneficial relationship where you're working together, well, the more damage you're going to take to this left upper quadrant. That's just how that works. The other ones we're going to talk about here are the ME and this ME right here. So when the time bar is going through these two blue alignments right here, it's going to be testing the lower left quadrant of the body. And the lower left quadrant, that's just the younger teammates. So you got to be balanced with them, just like you got to be balanced with the older teammates. Let's keep moving here. All right, so now we're going to talk about the time alignments. There are 3 time alignments today. They're all going to affect the lower quadrants of the body. Now, the lower quadrants of the body for time alignments have to do with how balanced our routines are, and the lower quadrants specifically individual and family routines. Upper quadrants are national and world routines. Now, even though we're only being tested on family and individual routines, do you still need to balance and make sure you're contributing to the larger level? You absolutely do. These alignments are just easy moments for us to show you that you're either in balance or out of balance on how you feel when the time bar is going through these alignments. That's how this works. It's just confirmation. We're trying to help you confirm you exist in a sentient space-time reality as soon as possible, because understanding what you're in, understanding the rules gives you an advantage. Now, when we look at these 2 charts here, what they do is they organize the strongest frequencies for this next 24-hour period of time, and they tell you where they're going to be parked. Here's a huge imbalance on the left. See it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 10 strongest frequencies are laying on the left side of the body. This is going to be a challenging day for a lot of people. And because there's so much overlap here on this left quadrant, if you happen to get pain on that left side, you're really going to document what you feel and when you feel it. Now, again, don't overcomplicate this. Commit to your team, balance your routine, and you're not going to have to worry about these governing frequencies. But the more you let your defensive design convince you that certain teammates you don't have to get along with, and the more you let your defensive design convince you that you're better than others and you can live better than they do, well, you're going to have problems with these governing frequencies going forward. The sooner you balance, the sooner you won't need to look at any of these charts and things are going to get better for you. Okay, let's end this out. So, as always, we share that we have the rest of the electromagnetics posted for 2024. No more mysteries. You have this pattern months in advance. You can look ahead, you can prepare for this, and you can ensure that you're not going to be fooled by this electromagnetic pattern, which is going to help you eliminate your stress at the individual level. Now, Health Reconnected is trying to empower as many individuals as possible. The more individuals we get overcoming this pattern, and when we get regions of individuals overcoming this pattern, we can start to change the collective outcomes. Meaning, we can start to minimize the social dysfunction. We can start to stabilize our environmental catastrophes. That's what we're up to here at Health Reconnected. And to do that, we need your help. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in the next 24 hours.